to the section 2 of our course, Docker Basics. In this section, we are going to take a look at Docker command line interface. We are going to go through the commands. But let's get started. In the section 2.1, we are going to run our first container. In this video, we are going to take a look at containers isolation and Docker run command. Container isolation. Docker runs process in isolated containers. A container is a process which runs on a host. The host may be local or remote. When an operator executes Docker run, the container process that runs is isolated in that, and it has its own file system, its own networking, and its own isolated process tree separated from the host. This is a very important concept for us because you have to keep in mind every time you run Docker run, your container is going to have own file system, own network, and the process tree will be isolated from the host. But we are going to discuss this more further parts of our course. Let's get started with Docker run. Docker run has a syntax like Docker run. We have some options here. We will introduce these options as soon as we start to work on the course. We will learn more and more options. We have images. This image could have a tag or a digest. If you did not inform which tag do you want to, Docker will download the latest tag. And then you can insert commands and arguments. Just keep in mind, as you can see, we have some brackets here. So this bracket means this is optional. You don't have to use every time unless you want to. So as you can see here now, we have the Docker run. We have a -d. This is an option. This means detach. Detach means runs this container in the background. Then we have --name because I want to give a name to my container. This could be nginx. If you don't provide a name, Docker will choose a name for you. And then we have -p. It means publish port. The first number means on your machine and the second number means inside of the container. So I want to map the port 8080 from outside the container to the 8080 inside of the container. And I want to use the nginx image with the tag alpine. Okay, but let's go to the command line and let's try to run this command. So Docker run -d detach --name nginx -p 80 on my machine and 80 inside of the container nginx tag alpine. So let's run. As you can see, Docker return a message here, unable to find the image. So it means I don't have the cache image in my local file. So when I don't have the image, Docker will try to download the image for me. And as you can see, Docker also returned. This image has this digest. You can use this one. And as soon as Docker told me that it downloads, it creates my container and it's returned the container ID. This is the container ID. And if I type now on my command line, I'm going to get the welcome to nginx. But maybe here is not the best place to see, so if we come here and type localhost, we get the same result. Welcome to nginx. This command was used for many years, but now Docker start to reorganize their command line and they introduce a new group called Docker Container Run. Or Docker Container is the name of the group. Run is just a command inside of this. Still have the same parameters, options, everything, but the only difference you have now one word more to type. So you can run Docker Container Run. In our course, we are going to use the new API, but if you want to, you don't need to use the Docker Container Run. You can use Docker Run. But it's just a good thing to be used to the new syntax, because if they want to remove in the future, you will be ready for that. So as you can see, the command is still the same. We still have Docker run -d means detach. In other words, mean run in the background. We have -name nginx2 because two containers could not have the same name. Then we are going to expose the port 81 because of the same problem. Two containers could not expose the same port from the outside world, but we're still using the port 80 inside of the container. So the only port that could be a conflict could be the port 81. And I'm still using nginx alpine. So let's go to the command line and let's run our container run -d name nginx2 -p port 81 on my computer and 80 inside of the container and the alpine. As you can see, this time Docker did not try to download the image again because we have our image in our local file, and that Docker just returned, hey, this is your container ID. And if you type now docker localhost 81, we are going to get the same result because we are in the same container. And if we go to here, localhost 81, we are going to get the same result. Welcome page is the same. And if we try docker container ls, it means list all the containers that are running. We are going to see that we have nginx and nginx2, and we can see nginx exposed the port 80 from the outside world, and nginx2 is exposed the port 81 for the outside world. We can see the images, so both of them are using nginx alpine. They have different container IDs, and also you can see when they were created and the current status. So 4 minutes ago I create nginx, and 50 seconds ago I created nginx2.